What is up, guys? This is a different video to what I usually do. I'm normally on the animated, light-hearted, unfiltered, sorry for the pun, sort of YouTube, but this topic is very important to me because I've dislocated my shoulder twice and I really want to help anyone who's suffering from a serious injury to, stay positive and, show them what the rehab process is like, because I've gone through the rehab process before and I'm gonna have to go through it again for the second time. Fuck my life. So yeah, I thought I could help some people out, and I really thought there wasn't many other options on the internet. Now, back in 2019, May of 2019, I dislocated my shoulder for the first time. I was an idiot. I dove in the pool drunk. Do not do that. I was very lucky just to dislocate my shoulder. I'm being very serious right now. I know people who have really come out a lot worse than just dislocating their shoulder from doing that, so don't do something as stupid as that. But anyway, banter in it. No, so that happened. Fucking regret it. But basically, after I dislocated my shoulder and it was put back in place and I was out the sling, I wanted to know, how long is it going to take me to rehab? When can I do chest press back in the gym? When can I do shoulder presses back in the gym? And when I was on YouTube looking, it was more, the videos were coming more from like the doctors' perspectives and the physiotherapists, and that's great, like really helpful, but they sort of tell you the logistics, they explain the science of how you've dislocated your shoulder. That's great. My shoulder's now back in place. I want to know, when can I do these sort of exercises? When can I expect to be back in the gym? And they give you a rough ballpark number, but I feel like that's not really specific for people like myself, people like you who are probably watching this, athletes, bodybuilders, weightlifters, whatever, people who are really passionate about sport and exercise and lifting weights. So when they're telling me it's going to be 8-9 months, possibly, I'm thinking, no, I don't think that's going to be right for me. I think, my shoulder, this isn't, someone who hasn't lifted before, so hopefully I can get in the gym a bit quicker. That was my train of thinking. And when I looked on the internet, I couldn't find anyone who was really explaining it, going that deep into the process. And the other reason why, also, all the major bodybuilders, your Steve Cooks, your Mike Thurston, the people I sort of watch, Rob Lipsett, Christian Guzman, they have not suffered any serious injuries. So God forbid that happens to them. So they'll give you injury advice for, little niggles, and maybe they'll explain to you, don't do this exercise. But that's really specific to their body. If they tell you, oh, I tend to avoid chest flies, that's because, it just hurts them or causes them some pain specific to their bodies. They haven't really got the real life experience of a serious injury like a shoulder dislocation or an ACL tear or a rotator cuff injury. So they can give you advice on that sort of stuff, but they don't have any real life experience, so they can't explain it the same way that I believe I can, or someone else who has actually gone through the rehab, knows the process, knows how infuriating it is, and then knows how satisfying it is when you start making real progress. So hopefully I can help you guys out with this video. So yeah, keep watching. Now guys, quick disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, clearly, so just remember that when you're listening to my feedback or my advice, just take it with a pinch of salt. This is what worked for me, it might not work for you, all our bodies are different, and definitely listen to your doctors. I know I've just said that they might not give you the best advice when it's specific to getting back in the gym and what exercises to do first, but the exercise they do tell you to give you that mobility and that range of motion back in your shoulder is great, and it does really help. They know what they're talking about in that regard. So yeah, and we all can't be genetic freaks like me. I'm kidding, I'm not a genetic freak at all. I'm very average genetics. I was built like DK Metcalf, but we can't always get what we want, no matter how many times we pray. Now, I'm assuming that most people watching this video are similar age to me, and are into lifting weights and athletics. Now, I'm 22, so I'm going to say that most of you are in the age range of 18 to 30, which is great. But basically, in terms of your shoulder, it's not so good, because the younger you are, basically, the higher the chance you have of re-dislocating the shoulder after it's been dislocated the first time. So I think under the age of 20, they say it's 95% chance you're going to re-dislocate. And from the ages of 20 to 25, it's more 80%. Now, this obviously varies depending on the strength of your shoulder, just how unlucky or lucky you are, I guess. But basically, you get the point. The younger you are, very high chance you're going to re-dislocate no matter what you do. Okay, now that the boring stats are dealt with, let's move on to the real crux of the matter: how long the rehab process takes and when can you get back into the gym doing the exercises you love, such as the bench press. The answers may surprise you. Well, when you first dislocate your shoulder, when you are finished with your week to 10 days in a sling, they're going to recommend that you start doing shoulder strengthening and mobility exercises. Mostly mobility exercise to start with, because your shoulder really lacks any range of motion, and it has a lack of serious strength in the shoulder joint. Now, the sort of exercises your physio and doctor are going to give you are all going to be revolving around improving that strength in your shoulder and your range of motion, which will be minimal at the start. So the sort of exercise they start you out with in the beginning is sort of any sort of exercise that will help you with shoulder stiffness and range of motion laterally. So they might get you to do something like put your hands together and move it outwards, the damaged shoulder. And they'll also get you to put your palm up against the wall and push up. And they'll tell you to do 10 sets of 10-second holds. Now, you do this at your own pace. It is likely to cause you some pain. That actually caused me a little bit of pain just then. So you take it at your own pace. Don't do 10 seconds and then just jump into the next set. You want to wait. And also, what they recommend and what you'll find is if you get a little bit of pain, you can probably hold out. But if you get a sharp shooting pain, then I really recommend you stop and take a break, maybe even take the rest of the day, because you may have been pushing your shoulder too far. And you'll know when you get this little twitch in your shoulder, when you know it's far. As you progress, when you're doing more challenging shoulder exercises, you're gonna be asked to stretch your shoulder out, and that leaves it in a vulnerable position. And sometimes if you get that little twitch in your shoulder when it's stretched out, then you should instantly stop, because that's normally a little tell that, okay, maybe it's gonna pop out. Now, in terms of getting back to the gym, it took me about 6 weeks to get back to the gym, but I was not doing any upper body exercises of any sort. I was doing legs, and my legs are pathetic, so they still look pretty crap. But I did legs. I was training legs 4 to 5 times a week. Calves, that is, and they didn't grow. And I was training, quads and glutes and all that, maybe 3 times a week. So I really wasn't doing any upper body exercise. You should not be expecting to do any upper body exercises for a good 3 to 4 months, realistically. However, in terms of getting back to sports, it was really within 3 months I had dabbled in a little bit of sports. So within 10 weeks I did a little bit of surfing, and I would say within the week after I played a match of 5-a-side football. However, this was very risky, and yeah, if I had fallen or slipped and landed on my shoulder, it would have 100% would have slipped out of it would have re-dislocated again. So I don't really recommend you do this. It's up to you. I was just desperate to get involved in some sort of sport or physical activity. Now, when you are ready to get back in the gym, it's normally after 12 weeks. So I think it'd been around 14 weeks. What the physio will get you to do, they will start recommending you do press-ups and to build up some strength. And honestly, trust me, you will do 10 reps of press-ups and it will feel like you've just bench pressed 150 kilograms. It is knackering. You'll be shocked at how weak you feel, but you just got to stay positive and keep with it, because now that you're back in the gym, you need to keep that mindset of every day I can get better now. When you're back in the gym, every day you can get better and you can get a bit stronger. What you'll do is you'll slowly build up these sets of press ups. So I think I did 3 to 4 sets of 10. I started with 1 and then got to 3 to 4 sets of 10 within like a month. And then I went to very lightweight. So I was doing dumbbell chest press with 4 kilograms on either side. It was a sight to behold, but hey, progress is progress, and it feels great as you slowly increase the weight. Yeah, so I gradually built my strength up, and I made the decision not to do shoulder press exercises because I just didn't feel comfortable doing them. I was quite scared, to be honest. So even though it was 9 months in at this point of the recovery process, I had made the decision I wasn't going to do shoulder presses anymore. I did lots of lateral and rear delt work, which I think is better for building up your delts anyway. And I started that around 6 months in the rehab process. Now this video is starting to run on a bit, so I will wrap it up. Basically, does dislocating your shoulder suck? Yes, it sucks balls. And yes, it is the most infuriating process to go through rehab. I'm not looking forward to going through it again. But does that mean your fitness journey and weightlifting journey or potential gains are over? No, not at all. It's all about the positive attitude. I know it sounds cringy, but I honestly believe I've made the best progress in the past year than I have in the 3 years before that of weightlifting. And you know, guys, although I am no longer dumbbell chest pressing 40 kilograms, which was my PR for me, you know, it really made me, the injury really made me focus on form and just time under, using other techniques to help my chest grow, for example. So time under tension and just really making sure every rep counts. I know a lot of people say that, but you really got to focus, squeeze the chest. I wasn't doing any of that when I was lifting 40 kilograms because it was so heavy for me. The form was atrocious. So yeah, you got to look at the bright side, and if you have to reevaluate your form, it might end up being a good thing for you. And with regard to those of you who are in a similar situation to me now, having to rehab for a second time or having to rehab for the first time, I guarantee you, if you keep doing consistent rehab exercises, you stick consistent with it, you will get nowhere without doing it. You will be doing most activities within 6 months, maybe even quicker. Depends on how far you want to push the boat out. What I will say is that even before I dislocated my shoulder a second time, it is in my mind constantly. Whenever I do a certain activity, I'm thinking about my shoulder. You know, I go to play football, it's in my mind. I think about what if, and you will never be the same before you dislocated your shoulder. You will always have that little doubt in your mind. What if it re-dislocates? And obviously for me it did, unfortunately. But through just being cautious, but not being a pussy, going and doing some work, doing your rehab exercises, you can get back to a normal sense of weightlifting. I rejected surgery on the first time because I genuinely believed that I could make the progress just through rehab, and barring being very unfortunate and falling down the stairs and re-dislocating it, I was pretty much back to where I wanted to be. And if you're wondering what my thoughts are on surgery, well, because I've now dislocated it a second time, I do actually have surgery coming up in 2 weeks. I think it's best for you to make that decision on your own, weigh up the pros and cons. First time round, it wasn't really I didn't feel it was the right decision for me. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get back into the gym. Whereas this time, having done it a second time, it would just be stupid not to get the surgery. So yeah, weigh up the pros and cons and make your own decision. That's up to you. So if you guys want to see a post-surgery update video, then I can do that. Just let me know down below. And I can also do a 3-month update or a 1-month update post-surgery if you guys want to see the rehabilitation process. I mean, I am sort of an expert in it now. But no guys, I will not let this video end on a negative note. I do honestly believe that if you put in the work and the time, you can continue making gains after a serious shoulder injury or other injury that is affecting your working out. Now, as I've said, I don't lift the same weights that I used to, but my form is so much better, and my chest has actually really exploded in the last year. Even when I spent the last year traveling in Australia, and my chest has really blown up because I was consistent with rehabbing it whilst on my year abroad. And my form was just so much better because I wasn't lifting silly weights. And I'm not saying any of you have made the same mistakes I did, doing maybe a bit of ego lifting, but I'm telling you now, if you put in the work, you can still make amazing progress, but you can do it. I guess I'm just realizing now that this video was sort of for me just as much as it was meant to help other people. But anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button and subscribe. Don't be one of those guys who just watches it and doesn't show it some love. I've done that before, and really, to support YouTubers, you've got to show that video some love if it's helped you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let me know if you have injured yourself recently, and if you've got any questions about, the rehab process down below. I'll answer in the comments. Or, if you've done an ACL tear, dislocated your shoulder, rotator cuff injury, let me know your injury and how you feel. Let's try and support each other. Keep the comments positive.